Hey fam, if y'all are hearing anything in the background, my husband is up at the shop working on some doors for our hallway. So trying to get that project finished up now that we have the treehouse pretty much done. So welcome back to the channel. I am so happy to be back. It's been several weeks since I have posted or really made any kind of content. Life has just been nuts lately, and you know, I feel like every time I've thought to get my camera out or record, I either forget or things just get super busy, and then I get to the end of the day and I'm like, shoot, I didn't record anything. So anyway, I'm happy to be back. Thank you all for coming back to the channel. I'm so happy to have you here. It is currently Friday. It feels like a Saturday to me. So this is so weird. My husband works usually all week, super long hours. The majority of the time, 12 to 14 hour days, sometimes longer. And he works up towards the St. Louis, Illinois line. We live about an hour and a half south of St. Louis. So yeah, we're used to him being gone a lot, and he's off today, and it's nice. So he's here catching up on some other projects, and I am actually here at the chicken coop. I am going to winterize my garden basically. I have a lot of planters and like separate pots. I have some herbs, I had some veggies, and I had, the majority of it was just flowers. I don't do an expansive garden. I grew up with my mom gardening and canning. My Mimi, my aunts, they're all huge canners, huge gardens. I grew up with them spending hours every summer, not only out in the garden, but also in the kitchen, canning everything. I personally am in a very busy season of life, having 3 little boys, being homeschooled. I'm a stay-at-home, wife and mom, and my husband has owned a business for years and years, and this recent job that he has taken on takes him away a lot. So I'm pretty much here on the farm running the ship alone most days, and so for me to have just this huge garden and to spend hours on it and then to spend hours in the kitchen canning, it's just not something I want to take on right now. So I just have my planters here in the garden, and I plant what I use. So I usually have some pepper plants, some tomatoes. I do have an orchard here. You can't see it. It's on the other side of the camera, across the driveway. But the fruit trees are still young. They do bear some fruit, but not enough to really harvest anything yet. So basically my garden is just what I plant is what I use, what we eat. I do have winter onions. And then I do usually, like I said, have some herbs, stuff like mint. I've done thyme, and I've done a few other stuff like that. But now that it's the end of the season, obviously I'm not harvesting anything, I'm not bringing anything in, and the majority of the plants and flowers have died, and so everything's just looking really sickly. I'm not saying that there's not some plants here that aren't still blooming, but we're getting to the point where it's mid-November, and I want to get this all winterized and cleaned up before the weather turns really cold, because actually this past week we had like 2 or 3 days where it was freezing. In the evenings it was getting in the upper 20s, lower 30s, and in the daytime wasn't much better. So it got really cold really fast, and I do not want to be out here trying to winterize everything and clean up the chicken coop and get them all settled in for the winter. And I've actually already worked, you can see here the door's open. I let we have Pyrenees. We have a couple of Pyrenees and a sheepdog that I keep in here. They have a nice huge pen over here that you can't see. So I let them out to run around and play and adventure while I clean down here today. And so I've already cleaned out their pen and got it all winterized. So the next step is to clean the chicken coop, and then this whole area here, and then this whole garden area behind me, there's planters. So I'm gonna get all of that winterized. I'd already done around the house. I had some pots of various flowers and stuff that are perennials, and I've brought them into my garage and have them all setting out. That way if we get any frosts or the weather turns and stays cold, you know, nothing's going to happen to them. So each year I try to buy majority of perennials and just add to what I have. The majority make it over the winter, some don't, and I'm just trying to be more intentional, you know, be better about properly winterizing everything, because a lot of these plants, you know, they're pricier. I've got some honeysuckle here that I had bought to go over the arch here. I wanted, you know, really pretty vining plants, and then obviously it lets off just an incredible smell. And then I actually, oops, sorry, it's very windy today. The honeysuckle actually has like red berries on it as well, so it's just really pretty. I want to make sure I winterize all of that, because believe it or not, even though it grows wild, these honeysuckles I bought from a nursery to plant in here. And then I also have a few other perennials, like these hydrangeas over here in pots on either side of me. I want to winterize those because it's a lot if you just go out and decide you want to replace everything. So I would rather just plant them, keep everything winterized properly. That way, hopefully next spring, everything comes back and I have to do very minimal, if any, replacing of the plants that I already have. So I will take you along with me today. Once again, thank you so much for being here. I'm excited to get back to it, to get content out to you guys, and hopefully continue to grow my channel. So thanks for coming along with us. Usually my hanging baskets in the garden area, I'm not worried about buying perennials. I just go buy a $10 basket from Walmart. A lot of times Lowe's has good deals on stuff. So I just buy a really affordable basket because I need several. And, you know, once they're done, they're done. You can tell this one has already died out from the cold snap. Up until that point last week, it was still blooming and beautiful. So I'm actually shocked at how many flowers, despite the cold snap, are still actively blooming. But anyway, getting rid of all of these old plants. I'm just going to pitch them and we'll start fresh next year. Our corgi is such a little butt. Anytime we're down here, he comes flying down here and like chews out our bigger dogs in the pen, like bossing them and just taunting them basically. So when he comes flying in here through the garden area, his little legs come flying and he basically fishtails and just throws all of this pea gravel everywhere. So I'm constantly having to come down here and clean up after him and make the garden area look nice again, because he just absolutely throws gravel everywhere. What do y'all recommend I do when it comes to winterizing like hydrangeas? Do y'all like cut them down and then like cover them? Do you just leave them as is and then come next spring, you know, trim away any dead stuff and then, you know, let the new growth do its thing? Like, what do y'all recommend for the hydrangeas? Okay, real quick, I looked up winterizing hydrangeas just for curiosity's sake, and they said they recommend that you don't cut down any of the old like sprouts until spring, because basically the old growth will provide like a barrier of insulation over the winter, and then come spring I should cut off all the old growth. So that's what I'm going to do. It doesn't look pretty, but if it's going to keep the roots and the base of the plant alive throughout the winter, and act as kind of a barrier of insulation, then that's what I'll do. right here is where I had some tomato plants and some peppers. And then I eventually, after some of that had died out this summer, I was given some mint. And so I had planted that and it kind of spread. And then I also have my winter onions that I got from my Mimi. So those are still actually growing. The mint is even still growing. I'm gonna leave that because it'll die out and it should come back next year. If it doesn't, it's okay. But I'm just going to kind of freshen up this bed, but otherwise I'm going to leave the mint and the winter onions that are currently growing in here. I have the nesting boxes cleaned out. My brother earlier took a shovel and cleaned out this back room, just like cleaned the floor and got it all, you know, just scooped out. So I'm gonna get a rake and like freshen up this main floor of the chicken coop, and then the chicken coop will be winterized. I used to put like grass mats in these nesting boxes, and they worked great until they didn't. Over time, because obviously the chickens go to the bathroom in these boxes, they would start to like mold and just smell really, really bad. And then like wood shavings, once again, the chickens are going to the bathroom in these boxes, and it just gets disgusting and nasty and just absorbs all of that. So it's almost just easier for me to come in here and scoop them all out 2 or 3 times a year. And then a couple of times a year, I come in here and really scrub them out, and like I get the hose out and just do a really deep scrub. So I did that not too long ago, so these boxes weren't all that bad, but I just kind of scraped them all out and cleaned them out. And they'll be good to go for winter, and then come spring we'll do it all again. So anyway, I'm gonna rake all of this out and make it look nice and clean and just freshen everything up. I just fed and watered all the animals real quick because I'm losing daylight fast, so needed to get done. Alright y'all, here is the chicken coop. The boxes are all cleaned out. I just raked everything really good, freshened up the chat. The chickens, this will only look pretty for so long because the chickens come in here and they scratch out hollow areas and nest in those areas. And I'm so sorry, I've lost daylight pretty much. It's late afternoon, but some of the chickens are back there. But that's the back room of the chicken coop, and they have, we've cleaned all that out. That's the outside chicken coop area. I'll show you here in a second. So we keep these pins because a lot of times after chicks get so big, when we get new chicks, we take them out of like a nesting box or just like a little enclosure that has heated lamps. And then we put them in here to transition them in with the rest of the chickens. Because sometimes chickens can be mean. Just so everybody can acclimate to each other. But right now we don't have any chicks. So those pens are just going to sit empty. But here is the chicken pen all cleaned out. All right, y'all. I am quickly losing daylight. So I'm going to do a little after of the garden. I left the lavender. That's a perennial, and hopefully it'll come back next year. It's supposed to. The beds are bare and ready for next spring. I have my winter onion and I have my mint here. If it doesn't come back next spring, that's okay. The winter onion will, because they actually have been dropping. They almost have like little bulbs. They're seeds, and they will sprout up again. They pretty much stick around all year. This is that large aloe plant, and I just left it for now. I may pull some little, it's literally full of little growth. So I may pull some of those and stick them in the garage for the winter in case that completely dies out and doesn't come back next spring. So that is a perennial. This is a perennial, and this is actually still blooming. So that's my hydrangea. I'm going to leave it. I read that you should leave it and then trim it down in the spring to allow new growth. But for now, that's going to act as like kind of a barrier to protect it through the winter. And then I've got some mulch in there. So here's my honeysuckle. We've got mulch down to help protect it. So this I don't think is a perennial. It was some kind of like a lemonade plant. I forgot the name of it. I think that's an annual, but I'm just going to leave it for now. And if it does not grow back next spring, like if it's like a goner after this winter, I will pull it at that point. But for now, in case it is a perennial and I'm mistaken, I'll leave it and I can trim it down next spring. Hydrangea, same thing. It's got mulch around the base. This is also mulched. This should come back next year as well. This is also a perennial. It's kind of all sickly and died off. I just spruced up the dirt, basically pulled out the old growths and just kind of left some of the plant there. All the dirt ready for next spring. Next spring we'll add fresh soil as needed. This is my clematis. It's got mulch around the base. Hopefully that'll be okay. This is my first time ever having a clematis, so hopefully it'll come back and be all right. Those are also perennials. I'm leaving them. I will trim them come spring to allow for new growth. But for now, from what I'm reading, the best thing to do for perennials is to leave the old growth, and it'll act kind of as a barrier to protect the plant through the winter. Same thing with that. That's also a perennial, so I'm going to leave it for the winter, and I'll cut it back or do whatever I need to do come spring. This whole fence row is my roses. They're pretty low maintenance. I really don't do anything with them. They always come back just fine. I'll trim them up and make them pretty come springtime. There's my puppers. They're back in their pen. I've got their pen all cleaned up. So anyway, my garden for 2025 is shut down and ready for spring 2026. All right, y'all, that wraps up the garden cleanup for 2025. I just cannot believe how fast time goes, y'all. I feel like I was just out here in the spring prepping everything, getting it ready to go get, my seed or my plants. And my gosh, here we are. There's 1 month left in 2025. So November is halfway through. December will blink and it'll be over. So yeah, literally just 6 or so weeks left in 2025. But anyway, here is the wrap up of the 2025 garden area. So I know I'll blink and I'll be back out here again come spring, planting and getting everything ready for next summer. So anyway, thanks for coming along with me today, guys. Nothing super exciting, but it's just part of being on the farm and having, stuff that you've got to do, including taking care of the animals and their pens and, cleaning up the garden area. So thank you so much for coming along with me. I truly appreciate all of the support, and I can't wait to see y'all in the next video.